Okay, my topic today is the role of biofuels for inclusive and sustainable growth. And my name's Rhoda Birech from Egerton University. It is a university towards where we are. You move towards the southeast, 200 kilometers. I happen to coordinate a project entitled Biofuel Project, which is a project funded by the European Commission. The donor is up at the corner, and it seems to be related to this because I'm seeing ERA. And it's collaboration between Boku University in Austria, CARI is Kenya Agricultural Research Institute, and Egerton University. So I wish to present the biofuel in the general context in the Kenyan picture, but drawing examples from our project. Okay. I don't want to say a lot on this because Nicole has already given that, the first presenter, that there is persistent energy crisis, and in the recent decades, everyone is aware that the fuel prices are escalating. Reasons are many. And therefore, the world over, everyone is looking for renewable energy sources, or energy sources that are away from relying on one source, that's the fossil fuel. And as you can see, of late, there is a lot of interest in biofuel, and you can see the ethanol amount, the amount of ethanol being produced has shifted only in the last 10 years or less from 20 billion liters to 50 billion liters. That was an estimate from 2001 to 2005. And also biodiesel. So the interest is high. And when you come to the African context, the African people spend so much to light even their houses, because rarely, not all houses in the rural communities are lighted with electricity like this. Many people in the rural areas just depend on kerosene or just burning some wood to lighten the room. And they spend $17 billion a year only on lighting. So you can see the issue of energy is a really, really critical issue, especially as the fossil fuel continues to degrade. This may not to diminish. It's not something which is there to stay forever. Another aspect we can see is that wood fuel constitutes 90% of all energy that is used in rural areas. And the demand is growing at 3.6% per year. Meaning, where will the local people be harvesting wood? Every year there is a demand for wood, and it's growing and growing and growing. And yet in our country, the forest cover is diminishing. It's only 1.7%, against the recommended 10%. So if we stay the way we are, we'll be harvesting the forest until we have no forest in our country. So biofuels are an example of producing energy in your own farm, or using the biological sources to make energy. And there are different types of biofuels. I think I didn't put there. I just say in brief, biodiesel is using the oil seed that is producing oil to make oil, which is diesel, and convert it to diesel. Bioethanol is using starch or sugar to ferment to form ethanol, which burns to form energy. Biogas is using waste products that is cabbage, vegetable cabbage, cow dung, or any waste biological product, even from the human waste, to produce gas. And another one could be now the use of bagasse, which we've been told cogeneration. Bagasse is an example of waste product, and burning it to produce electricity. So biofuel is an example of those biological products. So you can see, because of the existing demand, there's a demand all over that let's go green. Let's go green in terms of energy, let's go renewable. And countries are forming regulations that they want to increase in their gasoline, or in the gasoline has to be blended together with biofuel at rates. You increase from 5% biofuel all the way even up to 85%. And with this, where is the supply going to come from? That is, you're going to produce biofuel at farm level. And the supply can come from oil crops, or it can come from ethanol, for instance. And therefore, the African farmer, or here in this part of the world, we see it as an excellent opportunity. We do not only grow food, but we can also grow food and we also grow fuel. And with this big opportunity, there's a big question. Is this a real opportunity or is it an opportunity that is not sustainable? Suppose we go producing energy. Will we convert all the land that was going to be for food to energy? And if we convert all the land or most of the land to energy, where will we get food? Maybe we buy. And if we buy, the prices may be too high. So these are some of the critical questions that I think everyone who is dealing with bioenergy must look at. And therefore, our project now, which we were calling Biofuel, was going to look in depth on the complex impacts of introducing biofuels at smallholder level. And impacts could be on production of food, on ecological balances, and on socio-economic well-being and food security. What is continuing to emerge from our study is that if we are investing on a renewable energy for the purpose of securing our climate and increasing energy access, then whatever choice we choose has to be able to increase the access of energy, not only at industry, at a local level. It has to have an effect or mitigate on climate change or reduce greenhouse gas emissions. It has to have appropriate use of land, energy, and water. Okay, this workshop is on LE. Yeah, so it has to meet all those and should not compromise food security, and should also provide an economic opportunity for producers. There's nobody who is going to invest on something which is at a loss. So I told you about these types of power of biogas. Now, I will tell you a little bit about the history of biodiesel or of biofuels in our country. 10 years ago, or around that time, there was a lot of excitement about biofuel. And this excitement came from somewhere, and it caught almost all of us in Kenya. And this crop called Jatropha cacao was promoted especially by the Ministry of Energy and several NGOs, and told farmers this is a crop which can grow in dry areas, and that is, it doesn't have to compete with your food. You can grow it somewhere where food is refusing to grow, that is in a dry area, and you continue growing your food in a fertile or a wet area. And that is, it will survive those conditions and it will produce energy. So it was now counted to be Kenya. You know, 80% of our country is semi-arid, so it was going to be a big solution. 85% produce biofuel, 20% produce food. So, and several surveys have been done. About 5 years down the line, surveys have been done through, including the one we are doing, and also like the GTZ is a German NGO, which is very active here in Kenya in terms of energy. And the following were found out. First of all, the farmers were buying seeds at a very high price. That was 1,000 Kenya shillings. Maybe if you convert to euro, that's 100 euro. In dollars, it's 120, around $120 per kilogram. And then the farmers were told, this is a wonder crop, you grow it. It's going to grow in an area which doesn't require even fertilizer much. It doesn't have a lot of diseases because the leaf itself is toxic. It can also be used as a pesticide. So less diseases, less management, less input, less water, and less fertile land. And therefore, when you sell your seed, you will sell at almost the same price you bought at. That is at 1,000. So the farmer was saying, this is almost a miracle crop. But what happened? After some time, there were no extension people. Point number 2, little agronomic extension support. So there was no much extension support to tell people this is the spacing. If you see these diseases, this is how you spray. These are the right varieties for this place. And then, interesting enough, there were no markets. After the people started harvesting, there is nobody to buy. And the NGOs have disappeared. I don't know where they went. And then there were high incidences of diseases, and the yields were unacceptably very, very low. So, I visited personally. I took some of the photos. Most of this crop is found in the coastal regions of this country. About 50% is in the coast. That is in Lamu, Malindi, Kwale, and part of it is in the east. And the crops are invested in, some of them are healthy, but quite a good number are infested with insects. So it was a little bit surprised. Oh, we thought it was a pesticide in itself. Why is it invested? And then it has a very interesting growth phenomena. It can be very green like this. And then when the drought comes, all the leaves are shed. So you will find this plant, you will think they are very long sticks. You burn the forest and the sticks are remaining, when in reality it has shed its leaves. So the farmer would be surprised. The farmer didn't know about these and was expecting to be harvesting every year or every time in the year. So this was a little bit of a surprise. And then the farmers usually, especially in this part of the world, would like to grow food with other things. They don't want to go hungry, isn't it? So this food here, the one which is long leaves, is maize. It's the most important food in East and Central Africa, which is maize corn. And if you see it, I don't know which one is happier than the other. You can conclude for yourself. So, and then some other survey, this is a report from the GT said, I'm sorry I didn't write down there. It was found out that more than 90% of all Jatropha farmers are small-scale farmers with around 1 hectare or less. So you see that farmer, he has a cow, he has food to grow, he has Jatropha to grow, he has something else. He also needs a place to grow some trees to harvest firewood. And therefore, these are people who have infrastructural challenges. There could even be road access problems because you are a small-scale farmer in the mountain and you have 100 trees of Jatropha and a small piece of land. How will you manage it? Oh, another interesting thing, this shows the area under which Jatropha is grown in our country. And most of the land is in semi-humid. Semi-humid means it is receiving around 800 to 1,000 kilometers per year. Per millimeters, isn't it? 800 to 1,000. Which is very, very prime for food production. While the semi-arid, there is only 20% of Jatropha in semi-arid. What does this tell you? That even Jatropha is happier in a wetter place, isn't it? It's not obvious that it will always grow in a dry place. No, it's not the case. And then came the issues of prices, the yield, the prices, the markets, the profit, and the economies. Some farmers were telling us, we could visit some farmers and we said, this is your field and your Jatropha seed is ripe. Why don't you harvest it? They say, where will I take it? Well, I did not harvest during this past year. Those are some of the stories you did here. And you could hear 1.6 kg to 5 kg per tree, depending on the age. Those are really, really, really very low. Yeah. No, this is just an example. If you have a tree which is, this is the number of years, the age of the tree is 0 to 9. This was an example of a 10-year. If it is a 2-year tree, you get, in a low yield situation, you get around 90 kilograms per acre, for example. By the time you reach the 10th year, you are close to 450 kilograms. And you know what? The farmers sell 1 kilogram of seed for 15 shillings. They bought it at 1,000. Now somebody is offering only 15. If you don't take it, you give it. Okay? So, for 15 shillings, the second year you have 90 kilograms, you really have so little. Yeah, that's for 1 hectare, which is 0. Something acres. You know, I don't know the one they are used to for acres or hectares. That's how many? 0.4 hectares. You have as little money as only what you can see there. So, the similar study showed that, this study shows the areas, this is the map of our country. The green one shows the places where there is a the crops. Can you see the food crops are the ones which are rushed, drawn like this with the color of grain. That's the food. Okay? So, and then the place which Jatropha can grow is the green one. But the green is foreign. If it's dark green, it is really very good for Jatropha. If it is less green or in the middle, it is moderate. And if it is much less green, it is very, very low potential. And you can see that the places where the Jatropha is very good to grow, is also very good for food. So, the survey revealed that. And then the rest of the white place is the semi-arid area of our country. So, the general conclusion was, the places where this crop is growing is also the place where food is growing, generally. So, with those disadvantages, people started thinking aloud, can we look at other oil crops? Because the Jatropha could not be the only oil crop that can produce fuel. Other oil crops include castor. And castor is native now. Look at the native crops of Africa which can produce oil. One is castor. It has high oil content. The origin is Abyssinia, that is in the entire East Africa. There are so many varieties, and it has a very high eating value that sometimes is even higher than that of Jatropha. Yeah, but unfortunately, the market of this crop collapsed in 1970s. There's no market for castor. As much as it started in this country, right now Kenya has no official market for castor. We did some study to see whether the castor can match with our food crop, that is with maize. And those studies are yet to be concluded. You can see castor on the background, I don't know whether it's visible, and maize on the foreground. Can you see maize castor intercrop? So we want to see if it's compatible. Okay, the idea of being conducive, it has less diseases, it's conducive to here. It does not shed leaves during the dry season like the other one. It's just perfect. And we only wanted to see how it matches with food, whether you can intercrop them or close them closely together. And we had several visits to farmers. And we found out that farmers are already doing that. You can see the castor leaf is the one which looks like my hand like this. It is spreading, yeah? And then the maize leaf is the one besides it. We found a family who are growing castor and beans, castor and maize. And they do harvest almost weekly basis. And they have a place to sell. That was in central Kenya. This lady, you can see she's the same one there. She harvested a castor and took it somewhere to sell. And in that place to sell, somebody was able to help her to receive it, to buy it, to crush it to remove the husks, and to grind it into oil. And for sure, it's a pilot project, but it shows a very, very viable solution. These are other native crops. There is another one called croton, native to this country. You can see from here that it can produce so many, many seeds. And each of the many, many seeds has very high oil content. And several has been done on it. We visited lots of farmers. And she was telling us that from this croton, it is having many purposes. It's a shade tree. It grows like an umbrella. It produces a lot of seeds, which drop, and then you just pick the seed. At the same time, you can get firewood from there. At the same time, it's possible to collect and sell the seed. The farmers, in fact, these farmers had collected from close to the forest of Mount Kenya. They just collect it, which are falling everywhere. They take it to a pilot factory. They extract it. From the extraction, there is esterification that is now converting from raw lipids to the biodiesel. And from there, it is sold directly to, in fact, when we visited, there were several vehicles which were lining up to receive this. And we were asking them, have you made your engine to be conducive to biodiesel? They said no. Some of them even use 100%. And they use from the oil which they collect, which these farmers collect, this particular seed. Yes. That was just one sample. We took a picture, biodiesel sample. Now, there was an interesting thing about pricing, which...
So I will ask you to wind up.
Yeah, let me finish. We found out that you collect, to make 1 liter of raw liquid, to make 1 liter, you need 7 kilograms of seed before removing the husk. 7 kilograms of seed, you remove the husk, it becomes 3.5 kilograms of clean seed. You crush it, it makes 1 liter of raw liquid. And then when it makes 1 liter, you further clean up the liquid, and it makes up a third of the entire biodiesel. And the farmers are selling to them, for every 1 kilo, they sell at 5 shillings. That is 35 shillings for that. Now let me ask you, how much would you sell the biodiesel? If you calculate, it's more expensive than the fossil fuel. Or maybe almost the same. If you just use simple mathematics. Because you see, to make 1 liter of this, to make 1 liter of the final biodiesel, you need 3 times of that. Because it's only a third, isn't it? So 3 times of that is 21 kilo of raw seed, which is 105 shillings, isn't it? 105 shillings at farm level. After going through the whole process, it should be more expensive, isn't it? Because surely you cannot buy at 105 and then do everything and sell at 105. And right now the price of the diesel is almost 105, the final one. So the issue of pricing for this biofuel or for the renewable energy is definitely more expensive than the conventional energy. So who will pay for the extra? I don't know. Maybe somebody should pay. Finally, now there is no time. I want to tell you about biogas. Okay. Biogas is a very attractive solution because it is just waste product. But it can be used mostly at the local level. I only have a few recommendations for the EU. They said, what can the donor do? First of all, the choice of the renewable energy should be specific to the region, not a product or a species which is imposed in that place. Yeah. Again, be very careful or study the trade-offs, especially with food security. Number 3, consider the market access. Whether there is market for any, or whoever is producing has to have a market and should have an economic value or profitable. And then whatever value chain that the biofuel is going through should not increase the greenhouse emission but should reduce. Therefore, you have to consider the energy balance. You don't produce with more energy than you use. Thank you very much for listening.